Hey y'all, it's your girl Lisa. Your girl's been through some things lately, and as you can tell from this title of this video, so let's talk about it, let's unpack it, let's get to it. So in September of 2024, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I talked through my journey. You can watch that video on my channel of diagnosis and getting a surgery date and all that good stuff. And I ended up getting a double mastectomy. And I kind of want to talk through the timeline of things that happened, some emotions, some things. This is really just like an update for one. If you're going through this, girl, listen to my story. Let's talk about it. Or even guy, because breast cancer happens to men too. So yeah, let's just talk about it. Let's walk through it. And also just to like share for people who care about me or are interested. This is the journey. This is the process. So in September, I got diagnosed. I found out what surgery I could get. I forget what month that was. I think I talked about it in the last video. But the option was a single mastectomy because I had a 12 centimeter lump on my left breast. And there were some concerning things on the right breast as well. But all they did was biopsy those and found that they were benign, thank God. However, I decided to get a double mastectomy because I never want to have to deal with breast cancer ever again in my life. And I'm only 29, but I don't want it to come back. I don't want to worry about it. I don't want it to be a thing. And the double mastectomy was an option. And because they found even things to be concerned about on the right side, it made me basically just say I want to do the double mastectomy. So that's what happened. So let's talk about that timeline of surgery day on to now. So the day before the surgery is probably where the story starts because there's a snowstorm heading for Maryland. And I said, oh, are they going to cancel the surgery or not? My parents kept asking me. Nobody had told me anything. So the surgery is on. So the night before my surgery, we decided to stay at a hotel closer to the hospital because the hospital is like 45 minutes to an hour away from where I actually live. And so that's what we decided to do. Mind you, I don't love hotels, but maybe it's because I've never stayed in like a 5-star, 1,000,000% one because I get germaphobe. I like overthink stuff. It's not my favorite thing to do, stay in a hotel. So I didn't want to, but we got to do what we got to do to get this surgery done because I was ready to move on with my life. I'm ready to get this done and get my body healed. So I stayed in a hotel the night before. Another thing I did the night before was I did a prayer call. And that was the best thing I could have done to just give everything to God and also have my friends and my family, everyone who was believing for my healing and who was part of my journey so far to just really pray for me and pray with me. And yeah, I think that was one of the best things I did in this entire process because not only did it invite people into the journey with me, it allowed me the opportunity to not have to pray just for myself, but just be prayed for. So I'll get into more of the emotions and all the spiritual stuff after I finish the timeline, but I'm trying to stick to the script. So January 5th, we have a prayer call. Then we go to the hotel. We spend the night in the hotel. January 6th is the day of surgery. I get there, and we go through the process of getting checked in and all that stuff. And I went under anesthesia, and they talked me through what does that look like and all that stuff. And nothing really prepared me for, like, how I was going to feel when I woke up. People told me it was going to hurt. You know what I mean? But nobody, like, described it to me. And the best way I can describe it is I woke up, first of all, I couldn't move. Like, I physically could not move. Mind you, this surgery, to remove all the breast tissue on both sides, and to get what they call spacers, temporary implants, basically, put in, was like a 6 or 7 hour surgery. So I went in there, I got there at 5:30 a.m., 6 a.m., and by the time all was said and done and I left, it was 6 p.m. Your girl put in a 12-hour shift at the hospital. Like, what? Anyway, so during the day, I wake up, and I'm just like, I can't move, but I'm also in pain. And so I haven't seen my family yet, as far as I know. And I'm just like, can I see my mom? My mom comes to see me, and then they only let you see your family members in like 15-minute increments at that point, and only one at a time. So my mom comes to see me. She goes away. My sister comes to see me. She goes away. My mom comes to see me again. And that was when they were about to like check me out and like tell me to go home. Mind you, apparently I'd seen my mom another time before that, like way before that, when I first woke up. And the first thing I said is, I'm Superwoman. I'm ready to go home. Because what a day. Like, she was ready to go home. And it's not funny, but it kind of is. She was ready to go home. And I remember telling my sister, I want to go home. But like, I physically couldn't really move. And I felt lightheaded. A lot was going on when she was waking up. But, of course, got it all together. And I was still lightheaded and a little dizzy leaving the hospital, which is to be expected for some people when they're under anesthesia. But also, whatever I could do to go home, that's what I wanted to do. So I go home. It was really an emotional day. Ew. I don't know how I thought I was going to make it through this video without crying. Give me a second. So I just remember so my mom, my dad, and my sister came with me. I remember being so thankful they were there. And I didn't get to see my dad when I was in the hospital room, but seeing him after was just really nice. And like, my sister drove us. Like, it was really nice to me to have my family there. And then I come home and I don't know, this might be TMI. I threw up. I hate throwing up because of just like, you get nauseous after anesthesia and stuff. I threw up. I hate throwing up. That made me sad because like, I hate this. But if I can describe the physical pain I felt like from the surgery wise, I couldn't lift my arms for real too much. And because it just hurt, like my body was just stiff. And then also, how do I describe it? It was like I had done the worst physical like chest workout of my entire life. And I was feeling the effects of it. And that was terrible. So 0 stars on the pain. But they give you every kind of medicine possible so that you can minimize the pain. And anti-nausea and anti-this and all this. So there was like so many medications and antibiotics and all this other stuff. So there's so many pills I was on, and I couldn't honestly keep track of it at first. So thank God my sister, she stayed with me for the first week. I live with my parents, but my sister really helped us and stayed with us for the first week. And that was really important to me too. So that was like the first week. But another thing I should mention is when you come out of a double mastectomy, you have tubes coming out of you. They're JP drains. That's the official name, but I'm going to say tubes because she's not a doctor. But JP drains are coming out of you. I was told I'd have 2. I had 4 coming out of me, 2 on each side. And so you have to empty them and like all this stuff. And what's coming out of you is lymphatic drainage. So it's just like lymphatic fluid coming out of you. And conceptually, that was just a lot. Like, there's liquid coming out of me. And we're going to get into more of that later. But it was just like a lot to have to measure it and pour it out and dump it out. But it's coming out of you. And it's always on you. So you always have these, like, for me, it was on a lanyard. Always wearing a lanyard with tubes hanging from it. And, like, these bulbs collecting stuff hanging from it. So that was humbling. And it wasn't the funnest thing. It's my least favorite part of this process. And I will have to do it again and more often. But it's fine. Anything to get the body to heal. Really, that's what we're focused on at the end of the day. So January 14th comes, and I've been going to the doctor, I believe, weekly at this point to check on the drains. So they take out 2 of the drains, 1 on each side, so I'm left with 2. And that was nice to be a little bit more free. And taking them out didn't hurt or anything. It's actually not that painful of a process having tubes. It's just annoying, to be honest. And then January 30th is when they take out all the tubes, so she's free. I feel great about it, right? However, by 2 weeks later, honestly the whole time, my right breast is still filling up with lymphatic fluid, and we're having to drain it like with a needle. And that was not my favorite thing, and that wasn't a good thing because they were like, we need to look out for this. This needs to stop because basically if it keeps filling up, the lymphatic fluid just resting there is a good place for infection to form. So we just need to make sure that, this stops soon, and hopefully it'll stop soon. So March 2nd or March 3rd, whatever that Monday was, I returned to work. And because I haven't been at work since the beginning, I haven't been at work since 2023 at that point. No, 2024, sorry. In 2025, I have not been to work. So the first week of March, I returned. And it was so nice. My supervisor, had flowers for me. And, it was nice to catch up with her. and update her. And I really was doing well at that time, except for, my right boob still filling up, which was painful because it was just expanding the flesh, the skin. And that wasn't my favorite thing. Like, it hurt sometimes, but also was just uncomfortable. But other than that, I was fine. So I go to use the restroom, and when I come out of the stall, my shirt is wet. I was like, I didn't sit in anything. I lift up my shirt. I'm leaking through my skin. Through my shirt. And I said, like, through the bra, through my shirt, I'm just leaking. And I said, and I panic. I get out, and I'm like, hey, I gotta go home. And I call the doctor as I'm driving home, because, again, she's just leaking. Like, what's going on? And I go into the plastic surgeon, and basically an infection had formed. And this infection and the liquid was like, I need to get out. So I'm going to do that. And that's why it came through my skin. And that was terrible, just experience-wise. But also just, I didn't want an infection. Who wants an infection? On March 4th, I had surgery to remove the right implant/spacer thing, the temporary implant I told y'all about. So on March 4th, I have surgery to remove that and get the infection out. And that's kind of where we are right now. It took time to heal, so I had to have another drain in. I'm telling y'all, don't love these drains, but they keep happening. And again, she wants to heal. So they put a drain in, and unfortunately, the drain got clogged inside of me and just wasn't really working. So then I still had leaking coming out of my chest. Because again, if the lymphatic fluid / whatever wants to come out of you, it's going to come out of you, which is something I learned from this. Because, I just thought skin was kind of hard to break through. But your body wants to do what it wants to do. And I already had a cut there, of course. So it's just like, I picked this one. This is where I want to come out of. So it wasn't coming out of the drain. And that wasn't my favorite. But then the drain got removed. And I was just handling it, playing nurse on myself, padding, gauze, all kind of stuff, just to handle what was going on. And now we're at the point where I haven't had any leaking in a week or two, praise God. And we're getting to a point where it's dry, which is how boobs are supposed to be. But yeah, so I'm excited about that. I don't know exactly what the next steps are. Obviously, I'll keep sharing and updating, but at some point I'm going to have another surgery to put the spacer back in on the right side. And then I'll have another surgery to get real implants at some point as well. I'm hoping this will all be done this year. But we'll see what God has. We'll see what God has in store. Okay, now let's get into some emotional, spiritual, all kinds of stuff like that. So the biggest thing, and I guess I didn't say this at the beginning, your girl is cancer free. No chemo, no radiation. That is the biggest flex of anything I can say that I feel emotionally, spiritually at all. I'm so thankful to be cancer free. And also, when we talk about going into the first surgery for hours, I just think about how thankful I am that God was with me the whole time and that I woke up. Because some people don't wake up. Some people, that's the end of the story. Or you know what I'm saying? They literally had me trying to write. They had me pick a person who would decide what would happen if I died. If I didn't wake up. And I just think about the fact that I woke up is just a testimony in itself. The fact that I'm cancer free is a testimony in itself. God has just been so good through this that if I had to go through this, and that was another thing I wanted to mention, I didn't want to do this. Because obviously, who wants to do this? I prayed. I said, God, Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane was take this cup from me. If there's another way to do this, I pick that. That's how I felt. I didn't want to do this. Up until I'm telling y'all on the prayer call, I told my friends and family, I said, ideally, this wouldn't have to happen. So if y'all want to join me in prayer on that as well. As we're praying for the surgeons and all the stuff that if it has to happen, let's also pray that if it doesn't have to happen, let's choose that. And so the fact that it had to happen, but then just still being able to recognize God's grace and mercy to keep me through all of this, it's just, there's so much dichotomy to it, but it is exactly, I think, what it looks like to be a Christian and go through tough things. It's there are going to be moments where you're I don't want to do this, and I'd like for you not to do that. But then when it does happen, you're built through it. So, yeah, I think just that double mastectomy process, that surgery on January 6th, she's cancer-free, she's alive. A flex in itself, if you ask me. And, yeah, I think, obviously didn't want to do it. But if I had to, I'm glad I had God with me through it. So another thing is like the healing process for a double mastectomy. All this varies. All this is just my story. So if you're going through this, it could be different for you. But for me, I was like basically in the house for 2 months because, again, hated those drains. Didn't want to go anywhere with them. So, because didn't want to get an infection, which kind of happened anyways. But that's another story and another circumstance. But I just also was like, how do you conceal these under clothes? And like, I just wasn't feeling myself. And also they were like, take it easy. You don't need to be doing too much. And I like to do too much. So I just stayed in the house and physically healing and like all that good stuff. I stayed in the house for like 2 months. And that was tough I think it was tough, but it was also relaxing. And I would say like, oh, I'm going to write a book in this time. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. All I could do sometimes and felt like doing was sitting on the couch. I finished the entirety of Dance Moms. I had never seen it. What a program. Loved it. I like let myself relax for the first time in my adulthood. And so I think that was special. That was nice. I think I learned a lot about, again, rest, but also just like being still and letting myself heal. And that healing doesn't have to all happen at once. There were days I felt great physically. There were days I did not feel great physically. There were great days I felt great emotionally and days I was like, this sucks. Like, and they weren't linear. It wasn't like a progress going upwards. It was all over the place, and that was okay. And that's what I had to accept. So obviously I hate that I got an infection, but that surgery was so much less worse than the double mastectomy. I don't think I'll ever have a breast surgery as intense as the double mastectomy, but I haven't had the other surgeries yet, so I'll let you know. But yeah, it was like they told me, they were like, oh yeah, you can go back to like regular activities and living your life this week if you want. So on March 4th, I got the surgery, and then on March 6th, I was at an Elevation Worship concert because I was like, I bought these tickets and I'm going to go. Not just that, but God had permitted me to go. And while I was there, I was like looking around and I was like, yo, I was literally I was on an operating table 2 days prior to this. And now I'm here in a room full of believers singing to God and worshiping him. And it was just crazy. I felt so much joy being there. Not just that, I went with like 2, 4, 6 friends, and it was a blast. We had a great time, and it was just really special. So I just thank God that he allowed that to happen, and it showed me to have joy no matter what the circumstance. Because this process is going to keep going. We're not done yet. Like I said, I have 2 more surgeries to get, and we have to heal through those and go through those and pray through those. And not only are they not done yet, like in terms of process, God's not done yet. I have truly just been shown how much God is, like the omnipresence of God, and how limitlessly powerful he is, and how much in control he is, has just been really shown to me through this process. And I'm so thankful that someone who loves me so deeply is really the one calling the shots. Someone who already wrote my story is the one who's in control. It gives me peace knowing that. And I'm just a girl. Truly, no funny stuff. I'm just a girl. Like, I'm figuring it out day by day and moving forward. Again, joy no matter what the circumstance, but also just knowing that God is in full control and trusting him and leaning into that and taking things step by step. Another thing I've learned is not to count your chickens before they hatch. Because when I had the second surgery, I was like, well, into the house for another month. But they were like, nah, girl, go to that concert. And that same week, I also went to, so the concert was on a Thursday, got surgery on a Tuesday, concert on a Thursday. And that Saturday, it was my nephew's birthday party. So I went to his birthday party. We went to Sky Zone, which is a place of chaos, but that's a whole nother story. There was so many children. There was a lot of bouncing. It was a lot. But it was a lot of fun for him. So that's all that matters. But I went to my nephew's birthday, which was important to me. My best friend's bachelorette party was also that weekend, and I had planned the whole thing while I was in the house recovering. And so I was upset that I might not be able to go, but God was like, you can go, just be smart about it. And I prayed through what does that look like and wisdom for all of that. So I was able to go set up the Airbnb with some help because she still can't really reach a lot of stuff. Like my arms, as long as my arms are, I can't reach stuff because it'd be hurting. So had to have some people help me set up, and that was great. Got to bond, got to do some stuff like that. But I got to be there to send them off to go to dinner and have a night out, and then spend the night at the Airbnb. That's what they did. But I, went home because we were doing it locally, which was great. But yeah, I just was so thankful that I got to be there with her for a little bit. And then that week she was in town, I got to go to her cake tasting, and I know God, and her birthday was coming up, so we had a birthday thing. God was so merciful and gracious, and still allowing me to do the things that I wanted to do and that I had planned to do, but making sure I was smart about it and still using wisdom. So I'm not saying I'm going to be out here in these streets, because she simply probably should not be, because she's still healing and all that. But in some extent, I can be out here in the streets. I went to a concert. The fact that I went to a concert 2 days after surgery is still just crazy to me. And I had my sister-in-law with me, who is a literal nurse. So I was like, I feel covered. I feel like if anything starts to go down, she'll know what to do. And my sister, who was my live-in nurse for that first week, like I told y'all. So I don't know. I just feel so thankful and so loved and so blessed by my community, by God. And it's been quite the experience. So I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate y'all locking in. Even on my last video, people who I don't even know were like, I'm praying for you, and I just received that, and I'm so thankful. So let's keep going, Again, I hope all this is done by this year, but I'm trying not to do that thing where I get ahead of myself that we just talked about. She's still growing. But yeah, I'm not trying to count my chickens before they hatch. I'm not trying to play God. I'm just trying to go step by step with what he's got in mind. And I'm just so thankful for this process. As much as at first I wish it wouldn't have been happening. If it was going to happen, I think I've been thankful to see God's mercy, love, joy, peace, all that through this. So thank you guys for watching. You can follow me on Instagram. I post more real-time updates on there at Lisa K. Satchel. I'll also be talking about some more biblical revelations and things like that on my podcast at the Purpose Looks Good podcast. So check that out. And yeah, appreciate you guys watching. Bye.